Today I'll be showing you alternative ways to get some of the most tricky hideout upgrades following the requirements for find and raid items for hideout module upgrading, starting with the new crafts that have just been added to the game. Firstly, we have Toolsets, which seem to be required for just about everything and are now craftable in the hideout at Workbench 1. This uses pretty much the same recipe as the barter, except with the ripstop as well, and only takes 7 minutes, which is really nice. I had a few ripstops lying about, but you can craft those in the lavatory too from scav vests at level 1, so remember to save a sewing kit and use the slickers barters if you need to as well. You will need lots of tools saved up from toolboxes, but you are probably doing that anyway for the barter, and it's worth remembering that you can grab insulating tape from ref as a crafting ingredient, which doesn't need to be found in raid as an input. Next we have the working LCD. This one is important for security level 3 and can now be made with a broken LCD, one set of capacitors and one set of electronic components at workbench level 2. The final new craft is the formidable M61 ammo for 7.62 NATO weapons. I'm a bit worried about this to be honest, as it's extremely powerful, even after getting nerfed a little bit to make room for M80A1. 75 damage and 55 pen, 2 shots of PMC's thorax wearing every armor from class 5 and down, and against class 6, it does so most of the time with 3 hits still. The addition of a new 50 round to this wipe, compatible with loads of the weapons in this caliber and barterable at the traders, along with buffs to M80, could easily rocket 7.62 NATO back to the top of the meta. But let's get back to the find and raid upgrades. So although toolsets now have a craft, if you're struggling for components or you just need a couple of extra ones, there are some quests that give toolsets as rewards which are find and raid, including Secured Perimeter for Jaeger, which requires office skills, and Spartor Part 3 from Peacekeeper. Spartor is quite a good one to do because Spartor Part 2 gives you a Bitcoin, so you're incentivized to go down this pathline anyway for a decent chunk of money as well. Next we have drills. These have been the bane of many players recently, as you need loads of them for all sorts of different hideout modules, and they're also quite rare. BSG have not put a craft in for these, so you'll have to find them mostly, but you can get one from Gunsmith Part 7 and another one from Gunsmith Part 16. I know that's quite a long way down the road though. Other than spamming interchange a bunch, I've had the most success looking through filing cabinets for drills which do spawn occasionally. Related to drills are electric motors. You also need tons of these, but there was a craft already for them. Unfortunately, this does require a drill itself, which is extremely limiting for those who don't have arena, because you can get electric drills from ref at level 2 for GP coins. Given these are not find in raid, they aren't useful for anything other than this craft, but it does give another avenue to those who have arena. Notice that the only other ingredient is blue tapes as well, which can also be bought for GPs as I said before. There are also 3 quests that give electric motors: Gunsmith Part 4, A Passion from Ergonomics from Mechanic, and The Secrets of Polygon also from Mechanic. That last one takes a while to get to, but Passion for Ergonomics only requires Farming Part 2, and it gives you 2 electric motors on completion. There's a few other low-level items that I've seen people get stuck on, and the first one is bulbs. These are used in illumination primarily, but also for the cultist circle and breaking down the wall prior to the gym. You do need quite a few of them, so most of them will have to come from your raids, either filing cabinets or loose loot, for example the tech stores like Interchange, but you can get one extra one from Farming Part 1 as well as from Gunsmith Part 2. Wires you need loads of, and the easiest way to do this by far is to craft power cords found in PCs as normal. You can get one more from Gunsmith Parts 2 and Gunsmith Parts 7, but this hardly helps to be honest given the vast quantity that you need. Syringes can also be pretty annoying because they aren't that common and required for medstation level 1, so they gate stuff really early. The alternative way to get these is to complete Painkiller, which is the quest to give therapist 4 morphines, but unfortunately a good way of doing that one is also using the medstation craft at level 1, which requires syringes itself. If you somehow find 4 morphines before you find a syringe, then fair enough, but otherwise syringes are a med loot issue, as the only other quest that gives them is Pets Won't Need It Part 2, which requires Painkiller to be done anyway. For those getting stuck on Bulbex, for the generator, there is a craft on the workbench level 2, so you will need to get there first, but with the new toolset craft, this is now much more feasible than it was before. Thermite, this is the one that I got stuck on, and you can get one extra one of these from Broadcast Part 1 for Mechanic. Unfortunately, this does mean going to Lighthouse, and you will have to find the operating room key by yourself or ask somebody else to let you use theirs to do it, but you can at least get a guaranteed Thermite by completing this one. Another that was driving me completely crazy was the Topographic maps. You need one of these to complete the Intelligence Center level 1, along with a regular intel, but you can get 2 of these from one of Therapist's new quests in the Customs section of the map. First, you have to do Seaside Vacation on Lighthouse, which is a pretty easy one, and then you get access to Abandoned Cargo. Finish that for 3 Propitols, and then you get Shipment Tracking. This is the quest that gives you 2 topographic maps, but you need to have access to the Company Director's Room key, which is a new key on Customs with only 10 uses. I don't know of any other way to get the topographic maps outside of RNG loot drops, so this quest was a saviour for me because I'd already found intel in filing cabinets. One of the classics when it comes to difficult find and raid items are flash drives and GPUs. Flash drives are now extra annoying because you need 3 of them for the Intelligence Center level 2, as well as 2 for Skier as normal, and then 3 more for Jaeger later on. The best task for these is after Christmas dinner, which itself gives 3 60-rounder magazines for 5.45 AKs, which can be used immediately for Prapple's ice cream cone, so that's a good one. But Holiday Beyond the Means, which comes next, provides 3 Find and Raid flash drives and 2 Find and Raid graphics cards, making this quest one of the best to do early wipe. All you have to do is kill 10 PMCs with the Santa hat and beard on. If you grind factory enough, you'll eventually get it done. But BSG have just announced the end date of the Christmas event on the 15th of January, so you'll have to finish it by then or it will probably disappear. Outside of this one, there is a New Day, New Paths quest from Peacekeeper after Revision Streets, which gives a secure flash drive as well. For GPUs, the only other one that I'm aware of is Chemistry Closet that gives 1, but you'll need a blue tape key, which is pretty rare and usually expensive. I guess we'll see when the fleet comes back online this week. A really tricky one is dry fuel, and the reason for this is that there is no way to get it in quests, and there's no way to craft it either. You're just going to have to get lucky finding it, and interchange is probably the best bet, as loose loot in the various shops and at the back of Ollie. Otherwise, getting lucky with technical supply crates on other maps is another way to find it. A further issue with dry fuel is that it's also required for the Ollie logistics key, effectively gating Ragman's questline behind a decision for questing or for the hideout. 2 more things that I wanted to mention. There are now 2 quests that you can do without the key. Bad Rep Evidence, that usually requires the portable bunkhouse key, can be reached through the window, and Pharmacist, that normally requires the 114 2-story dorms key, can just about be grabbed using the increased height of the terrain outside because of the snow. This one is really tricky, but using Free Look can make it possible to grab through the curtain if you're positioned just right. So hopefully this helps you to get through some of the most annoying bottlenecks. A big shout out to all my patrons, and as always, have fun in your raids.